So I got into skateboarding about 3 or 4, just grew up on a skateboard really. Use it as transport just to get around everywhere and just hanging out down the road. Didn't really start off in skate parks, but just used it up and down the road. So my name's Andy, been into skateboarding for years, grew up skateboarding. My parents bought me one of the big yellow fishy tail skateboards, so I used to skate around on that all the time. Just use it as fun, just up and down the road really. And my friends got into it as well, and they had the proper like black skateboards, so that was always my goal, to get good enough on the yellow one. I could then progress to a double-ended skateboard, as it were. I carried on with skateboarding because a lot of my friends at school were doing it. They built a big skate park, so I grew up in Norfolk, and they built a big skate park in Yarmouth, so we used to spend every evening down the skate park, just hanging out together, testing each other, trying to get more tricks out of each other, just sort of living off each other's adrenaline to push ourselves more and more. And it was that sort of fuel for it that kept us going with it and inspired us to just keep skateboarding, to keep learning new tricks and progressing like that. So I used to skateboard all the time, like I say, every weekend, every night after school. First thing we do when we get home, get changed, get a lift straight down the skate park. That's pretty much all we've done really. And then I suppose over time a few friends sort of stopped doing it, sort of twiddled down on numbers. And then coming off to uni, didn't have the same sort of skate parks in Derby, unfortunately. And I suppose, yeah, got married, had a kid, so that's obviously stopped being able to go down the skate park every day. So I do it more as a hobby now than every day. This is what I do. It's more of an as and when sort of thing now, just for fun.
I was a child walking with giants 100 feet tall.
I'm Yanni. I've been skateboarding for about 6 months, on and off, whenever the weather permits it. So I got into it because my brother has skateboarded for a long time, and I thought that it was really cool. And I asked him for a skateboard to see if I could get into it myself, and he gave me one of his old second-hand ones for my birthday. And I just started riding it around, seeing what I could do. Since I started skateboarding, I've learned a lot about different kinds of skate culture and different kinds of skateboarding subsections, sort of. I got a skateboard first, but then I got really interested in longboarding. So a means of skateboarding as commuting. Thought it was actually a really cool idea. Picked one up, started riding it about, and then the weather got really bad, and you can't ride skateboards in the rain. That's another thing I learned. So you can't do that. So I bought a little cheap penny to ride around, learn about all around the culture and views assessed with that, and about secondary school English kids riding around on their pennies really obnoxiously. And yeah, just learned that it's actually a loads harder than it looks, but incredibly satisfying to take in, and that actually a lot of people that are advocates for skateboarding don't advocate the culture so much. So really just trying to get people skating without the negative connotations that skateboarding might have, particularly in somewhere like the US. Yeah.
So yeah, skateboarding's been, I'd say growing up was a big part of me growing up. It sort of changed the way I viewed things. I started seeing everything as a challenge, trying to push myself to do something different or learn something else. So it was more of a sort of a mind game really, just to see what you can do with a bit of balance and 4 wheels. So I think that's something that I sort of kept with me, trying to push myself to do different things. Whether it's biking or skateboarding, it sort of goes through a variety of sports really. I think people like skateboarding because it's a sport where you really have to focus. You sort of have to get everything else out of your mind and just focus on your balance and trick that you're doing. And yes, the adrenaline you get from it as well, when you spent all afternoon trying to land something and you eventually land it. It's a fun sport because it takes a lot of time and practice, so the reward's good once you actually get somewhere with it. I think a lot of people give up after the first few weeks when they can't stand on it. but if you progress with it, I think that's why people do, because once you get to a certain stage, there's always somewhere else to progress to. So it's never a sport that you've mastered, no matter whether you've been doing it for a year or 50 years, there's always something else to do or something else to learn. I think people like that drive to be pushing themselves further, and it just, I think because you have to focus so much, you can escape whatever else is going on in your life, and you're there, and that's all you're thinking about at that time. So yeah, it's a good, I think a lot of people use it as just a way to sort of switch off from life around them and just focus on the skateboarding and yeah, the adrenaline that you get from it.
Right here, right now is all we need.
Skateboarding's so popular because it's quite a recent thing. So skateboarding only started in, I think, the 60s or 70s or 80s even, when you know, people were looking for a way to transition from surfboarding when the waves aren't around to, well, what can we do that's similar all year round and start skateboarding. So the communities are being built up over years and years and years, and more funding over the years has been going into it. I think that creates a sense of, well, people want to do it because there's the facilities around to do it. Also, I think it's because it really is a very tight-knit community. So at skate parks, you'll see people refer to people that are usually there as, you know, brothers and sisters that are constantly skating. You know, they stick together, they skate together, they do all that sort of stuff together. And also, including stuff like the huge boom in popularity that it's gotten from like mainstream media in skateboarding, and you know, skateboarding in the 2020 Olympics, and just really like big name things that have an overall general coverage on it, because it's a really fun thing. So I think the more coverage we get, then the more people will want to skate, because it's not a hard thing to get into. You know, a skateboard costs maybe 80 to 100 quid to get a decent one that you can keep going on.
Yeah, skate parks are a great place to hang out as well. You get to meet lots of people. Everyone's usually really friendly as well, and you can feed off each other's energy and encourage each other, like I say, to try new stuff. And it's a nice environment, I think, skate parks. I think a lot of people think they're horrible and they're going to cause less trouble, but actually it's just a great place to meet people, to hang out with friends, make new friends. It doesn't take 2 seconds by the time you're at a skate park and everyone's like, oh hi, how's it going, sort of thing. Yeah, from experience, everyone's really friendly, and it's just a great place to get to know people, and it's almost like a meeting point to go. And once you start recognising a few faces, you'll sort of see the same sort of people, different skate parks out on the street, and I think it just builds friendship up, really. I think the thing I found really helpful with skateboarding was the PlayStation games for Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters. I think that's what made me realise what all the tricks were, and actually learning stuff. And before the games came out, I would have no idea what a melon was or an indie grab or anything like that. And I think the games, back when I was a kid anyway, growing up, I think that's something that fueled people to start skateboarding. And to actually know what they're talking about when you're talking about certain grinds and certain tricks. I think because a lot of people had played the games growing up, everyone seemed to know what they were and what they meant. And I think that maybe sparked something when I was sort of growing up. I know me and brother used to, if we weren't at skate park, we were playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters, and yeah, I don't know, that helped us understand the tricks, understand the sport. Yeah, skateboarding's brilliant because you can do it to your own character, your own personality, whether you're a street skateboarder or a vert skateboarder, or yeah, it's your own game really. You build what you want out of it, and you can challenge yourself to do different things, and you just basically, it's a sport you can make your own. It's not got any rules, you just go out, have fun, and you learn as you go, and I think it's something that people can do to their own personality. I think that's why it's such a popular sport, and people come back to it for the adrenaline kick and the focus you have to do when you're skateboarding. It's quite different from a lot of other sports, so I think that's why people, yeah, get really into it.